Hello everyone, my name is Joseph Etim. Today I'm super excited to be having Dick Peter in the building, and we have a lot of things to talk about. And I'm really hoping that this episode would really challenge your thinking. It will help you grow, it will help you build, it will provide some new perspective that would help you become a better version of yourself, grow your business, and whatever you are doing, it will just be that 2 cents that will change the game for you. So a lot of people be asking this question, who is Duke Peter? So my question is, this is supposed to be a conversation, so let's not make it that serious. Let's not, let's not bore them. And I have a lot of questions for you, and I hope maybe I can take one or two from you too.
That works.
But before we go straight to it, people want to know, who is Duke Peter? How would you want to introduce yourself? What do you do? Just talk to us.
Okay, so first and foremost, I think I have to say that this is quite a privilege to be doing this. Thank you for this amazing platform, right? So into the question, for as long as I know, defining Duke Peter has been a difficult question to answer. And not because the answers do not exist, but simply because conventional titles do not give depth. It's been difficult to confine the expressions of Duke into a title, right? If you say that I'm a consultant, it's what I do, but it doesn't express the length and breadth of, my giftings or my callings, right? To the best of my knowledge, I could express my giftings as a consultant, as a coach, as a public speaker, right? But in the most recent times, my interests have been drawn towards digital marketing, right? The entire concept of ideation and the entire concept behind creating an idea, having an idea and transmitting that idea to a populace, right? I realized that this is one of the biggest problems of if I laugh now, you
Oh my God! Okay, I don't want to take this out. I don't think I want to take this out, man. I don't want to take this out, but Duke, you got it. Hold on,
Let me answer the question.
Duke.
Hold on.
Ask me what I do.
I don't know what you do, bro. I don't know what you do.
I'm a brand expert. I'm so sorry.
See guys, listen guys. This is the
What do you do?
Bro.
What?
Did you bring me here?
Jesus Christ. Good.
Okay, listen guys, listen. For real. Okay. So this is what I do. So guys, don't mind what just happened right now, okay? That's just us cracking ourselves up, right? Fundamentally, I'm the founder of Better Africa Foundation. And at Better Africa, we are interested in the holistic growth of communities, and we express this interest in the areas of entrepreneurship, right? Health, education, renewable energy, and technology, right? We have hosted conferences. We have, in the past, we have done inner city missions, right? Inner city missions simply refer to programs that we execute in rural areas, right? And we've done an extensive work on the foundation, right? So that I consider as my give back to community. However, as an individual, right, I express my giftings. It's usually difficult, right? Because conventional titles just don't give justice to the depth of work I do. However, I express my giftings as a consultant, as a public speaker, as a coach, you just name it, But in the recent times, I have taken interest in sales and marketing and end-to-end marketing. So I now work with brands, to build a marketing framework or to help them get sufficient enough reach for their product and services.
So I have a question. One of the questions that a lot of people get to ask me recently, which I would want to still throw to you, there's this question of mentorship. How do you have access to quality mentors? A lot of people just have people they want to learn from, they want to be in their inner circles and all those questions. But I'm asking you now, I understand that you have high connections, you just know how to do it. if you are asked this question, which is me asking you, how can young people really have access to quality mentorship?
Okay, so there are two ways to this question. There's a simplified version and there's the expanded version, right?
Simplified version.
The simplified version is service.
Service.
Right, it's by service, right? However, I would still need the expanded version because service can be misplaced.
Okay.
Right, so you don't just find someone you think that you like. Mentorship is not a like-love relationship.
Okay.
Right, mentorship is a destiny-sensitive relationship. Right, so you have to be conscious. You have to be able to discern the fact that this person holds the light for your path. Right, your path is unique to you, and before you there are men who have trodden that path, right? And some of them do the due diligence of holding the light for the next generation, right? So it is your prerogative, it's your responsibility to discern who is holding the light for your path, and you serve that person, right? You don't go serving someone else who is not on your path, right? Those people can you can just have them as role models, right? But then if you're going to chart the course of your path, so I like to say this, the young man has time but doesn't know what to do. The old man knows what to do but doesn't have time.
Wow.
And wisdom beckons on the young man to take the knowledge of the old man and add to his time. Now that process of mentoring, that process of taking the knowledge of the old man and adding to your time is going to be achieved and actualized through service, right? Because you need to calm down a bit. There's something that happens with youth. Youth comes with lots of energy, right? Exuberance, right? Passion, excitement. And so with that comes a level of delusion, right? The possibility of thinking that all things are possible simply because you can imagine it, right? And then we hear there's so many worldly wisdom that there's so much wisdom, intoxicated wisdom that the world throws around, that has been articulately designed to subjugate youth, right? One of it is hustle until your mentor becomes your rival, right? It sounds like a woke wisdom, but it's a very self-sabotaging wisdom, right? Because your mentor you must never come to the point where your mentor is your rival, right? Because he holds the light to your path. So there are seasonal mentors, right? You can come to a point where you have served a season or you have served the season with this mentor, but it doesn't make him your rival.
Now, this is crazy. Talking about seasonal mentor, should this be the reason why a lot of people that see themselves as mentors don't give easy access? Now, this is what I mean. Because they understand that they could be seasonal to young people. So they don't want to be like options. They don't understand. For some people, they don't know how to manage that season. So they don't want to, because they've had a lot of people that came to them and left. So they poured out everything they had to these people. And along the way, they left. So for a young person that thinks that, because of what you've said, seasonal mentors, how do they handle this so that they don't get to burn bridges? So for those that are mentors that are watching, how do they handle people to understand that I'm supposed to help this person, show this person light for this particular season? And right now, if it's time to leave or allow the person go, how can we handle this? Because sometimes people don't really understand how that works. So young people are burning bridges and mentors are closing the door because they don't want to be seasonal mentors.
Well, I think it follows it should follow the fundamental understanding that nothing lasts forever. Right. So if you are fortunate enough to find a mentee like Timothy, right, who would stay with you till the end, like John, who would stay with you till the end, good and fine, right? But then I think that the rudimentary or the unit prototype for mentoring is in the family, right? And so a father gives birth to a son or to a daughter and then mentors that child to a point. It gets to a point in the mentorship process of that child that you have to let that child go.
Okay.
right? If your unwillingness to let that child go at that point becomes counterproductive to the process of mentoring and to the growth of the child.
Yeah.
And so first and foremost, I think, because in my understanding, this question is to mentors,
Yeah.
right? I think that one of the things that mentors need to realize is the fact that if this person could come, this person can go.
Okay.
And so you don't have closed doors,
Okay.
right? You don't have closed doors. It helps you not to build resentment. Mentors will need to come to that point where they understand that if this person could come, the person can go, right? So you don't hold too firm, right? Mentors also need to be able to discern their place in their lives. And well, I don't know how correct I may be, but I think it's an African thing where we're very insecure people, right? And so because we discern the light in a mentee, we feel the need to own that light.
Oh.
Right? To possess that light. We feel the need to, it has to be said. And I see many people do this when they spot a rising light, immediately they jump into the process of that light, begin to give instructions, begin to give directions so that they can feature in the process of that person, so that whenever that person's whenever the credits are being rolled, their names can be put in there. It's a product of a very battered system.
Okay. When you're talking about they want to own the light, what do you mean? And how can, I don't know.
Okay, so when I talk about mentors, some mentors, attempting to own the light, oftentimes this is done by mentors who did not utilize, permit me to not call them mentors. This is done by people who did not utilize their process.
Okay.
Right? So it's a remedial process for them.
Okay.
It's not really for the person, right? It's their way of consoling themselves for what they couldn't do in their time. Yeah. So they believe there's this sense of not entitlement now, the sense of purpose that they feel that they would have if they could repair the damage that they made in their lives, in the lives of this one. It's a vicious cycle, right? And sometimes we experience problems from mentees, but I think a lot more times we experience problems from the mentorship structure that we have adopted as Africans.
Okay.
Right? Like I said, it's rudimentary, it's fundamental, it's from the home. Right? It's from the home, and then you find out that a lot of times, let's go to the Bible now. The Bible says that train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from that. What we experience at the home front is that oftentimes parents fail to train up children in the way that their children should go. Parents train up children in the way that they wanted to go, that their parents did not let them go. Right? So, because there's this innate desire to become a doctor, my father did not let me become a doctor.
You must.
And so my child must become a doctor.
Must be doctor.
But he wants to be an engineer. And I deprived him from being an engineer. So he wants his child to become an engineer. However, that child of his wants to be a lawyer. So you see,
a creator.
Generations after generations, we have passed down a defunct definition of mentorship. And so when we extrapolate this mentorship structure from the family and put it in the business, right? When we extrapolate it and put it in society, it's the same result it's going to produce. Right? Okay. It's just different shades, but it's the same reality.
Okay, hold that thought. But right now, my question now is to the mentees, to the young people. While all this drama, all this is happening, how can young people, in using wisdom, not burn that bridge?
Not burn which bridge?
The bridge of mentorship. Because you talked about something being seasonal, mentorship. Yeah. So right now, for a young person that thinks that it's supposed to be over, for many reasons, for whatever reason, how can they move without burning that bridge? Because a lot of people listening to you now, they'll run with that message, mentorship is seasonal. So this woman's season, this man's season in my life is over. I need to move.
Okay, so
People don't understand how that works. So there's always a bridge that is burnt, and at the end, a relationship that was very sweet is sour.
Okay, so the thing is that while mentorship is seasonal, right? There are some
Should it be seasonal? So is it not possible that a relationship there was this phase that somebody was supposed to be involved in your direct coaching or mentorship. Then when that person, he or she is done, they can allow you go, but that relationship is still there. So I want you to balance that concept because a lot of people would think, okay, I'm supposed to move now and I'm not supposed to have that connection at that level again with that person. So there has to be a balance.
Okay, so it is at best, it is the mentorship process that is seasonal.
Okay.
Not necessarily the relationship.
Cool.
Right?
Cool.
Again, mentees and young people are very, permit me to use the word arrogant, right, in their approach to mentorship. When we are in and this is because of the shape the world has taken, right? I was talking to someone one time, and in the course of our conversation, we were able to deduce the fact that the devil, in his intelligence, has shifted the battle from himself, has shifted the attention from himself. And one of the things that we could establish was the fact that the devil does not care what you call him. What he cares about is what you do not call God. So it doesn't matter if you call him stupid, you call him mad, you call him powerless. I mean, all the things we say, the devil is a bastard, the devil is this. He doesn't care. As long as you don't call God Lord.
Okay.
Right? And he will go to any extent to deprive you or to, is the word deprive? He will go to any extent to prevent you from depending on God.
Okay.
Because in that dependence is his irrelevance.
Yeah.
It is in that dependence that he's useless.
Yeah.
It is. So he would go to any extent. And then if you look at the journey between the devil and God, there's a middle point, there's a blurred line. There's a transit station, right? And that middle point is man. So the technology that the devil has introduced in our day, right, is that he has shifted the dependency. He has succeeded to an extent in shifting the dependency of man on God to the dependency of man on man. And so what the devil has succeeded in doing in our day is that he has come to a point where he has succeeded in taking the attention of man from God and placing on himself. And so that's why you have the rise of self-made ideologies, right? And so you have things like self-discovery, self-awareness, self-thought, self-esteem, self-made, self-this, self-that. You see, it's an intelligent orchestration, right, to take away dependency from God and place it on self. It doesn't matter whether you place a dependency on Satan directly. It's a middle point, it's a gray area.
Yeah.
So, like I said, the devil does not care about what you call him. What he cares about is what you don't call God.
Okay.
So as long as you don't depend on God, he doesn't mind that you don't depend on him. Right? And so the introduction of this self-concept, this concept of self, is also constricting because it defies the institution of mentoring.
Yeah.
I mean, if you cannot depend on God, why should I depend on a man? Right?
Yeah.
He has succeeded in making you look more inward, right? And that's why you have the rise of atheism.
Yeah.
Right? The rise of atheism, the rise of atheism, antitheism, right? You have the rise of multiple schools of thought that are all designed to fixate the mind of man on man, right? Take away dependency from God, fix it on man. Now, when that happens, tell me why I need another man. If I've come to a point where I believe that I do not need the intelligence of a supreme being, why should I need why should I require the intelligence of a finite being, right? And so you see that this now creeps into that institution of mentoring and cripples it from the inside. And so a young person now comes to you for mentoring. He comes fundamentally thinking about what he can just get from you, how he can use you to shine. Because somewhere in his subconscious, he believes that he can make it by himself, right? He's so woke that he doesn't believe. And here's the thing, mentoring is two ways. There's a horizontal mentoring and there's a horizontal and vertical mentoring, right? And so he comes to a point where, he can just stay in one corner of his room, do a YouTube video, make all the money he wants, do whatever he wants. So why does he need you, right? And so coming back to young people and how they should approach mentoring, it first, like I said at the beginning, it first should begin with a discernment of purpose. What's my purpose? What path am I on? And what light do I require for this path? Then who holds that lamp, right? And then when you discern that, the way to activate that journey is through service, right?
Service.
You find that person and you serve your way to that point.
What if the person makes the service impossible?
Well, he's not the only one.
Okay.
Right? He's not the only one. We cannot take away the fact that certain persons play very significant roles.
Yeah.
However, if that role is as impossible as you make it sound, right? Let's go back to scriptures.
Or maybe these young people don't make any effort. They just think it's impossible. They just think this person...
It's the role of the young person.
Yeah.
The mentor has served his time.
Yeah.
So it's the role of the young person to discern what he wants for his journey. Yeah. It's not the role of the mentor to... mentors are...
busy.
They are not even busy. They are at rest.
Yeah.
Right? They are focused on their own next steps.
Yeah.
Right? So no mentor has the time to babysit anyone.
Yeah.
It's up to you to discern what you need at this time, to discern what the mentor has, and to discern what you want from the mentor.
And how you can serve.
Yes, and how you can get that, right? Now, speaking about difficulty, the Bible lets us know that there was a man called, can't remember his name now, but he was a captain, and then he would need Peter, right, for the next steps of his journey, right? And then that mentorship process would be difficult because Peter was a Jew, right? Because of how determined he was, it took an angel of the Lord to show Peter a vision and to compel Peter, right? I'm saying this to say that regardless of how stubborn a person is or how reserved a person is, you can always serve your way to a person's heart, right? I don't at this moment know any system that is service proof, right? Or gift proof. The Bible says that the gift of a man makes a way for him and brings him before great men. That could be interpreted loosely to mean the abilities of a person, right? That could be interpreted loosely to mean the qualities of a person, the expertise of a person. But then it could be interpreted to mean the gifts, like as spare, your ability to hand out, right? And so you find this person, what seeds are you sowing into that person's journey? Because you're not coming into a mentor's life to be a liability. You have to find something, you have to find a place where you balance into that, right? You have to find the place where you balance into that. So yeah, I think fundamentally the buck lies, or the onus is on mentee.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
You were away from social media for 4 years?
Yeah.
4 years. Why?
Well, just to reinvent myself. Right.
For 4 years.
It didn't have to be for 4 years, right? A time comes, right, while you're in the tunnel that you just get used to the dark. So I should have gotten back on the scene maybe after 2 years, but then I had just gotten used to, I was intermeddling with so much insight. I enjoyed the solitude. I enjoyed the peace and the tranquility it brought.
Did you miss?
No.
So if I would ask, what were the lessons you got from?
So many lessons, right? But I think the most critical thing that my I like to call it wilderness journey, right? It's my language.
Yeah.
I like to call it my wilderness journey. The most critical thing that it did for me is that it brought me into the company of my kind.
Okay.
Right? It attracted my kind to me because one of the things that happened in that season was that there was a necessity of separation. So I had to separate from the things I knew, the people I knew, right? So many things. I had to separate from everything that was customary to me,
Okay.
right? And in separating from those, room was now created to attract what was necessary for me, right? The other ones were customary, not necessarily essential for my journey. You just had friends, just like in primary school, you're friends with everybody. But it gets to SS2, you begin to specialize art science. It gets to 100 level, you specialize further, everybody studies at 100 level. First semester, everybody studies the same courses. Second semester, but at 300 level, you specialize again. So life teaches us the requirement or the necessity of specialization at different levels. So I got to that point where I needed to break out and specialize. And so what that season did for me was that it began to attract me to my kind of people, people who were on the same growth journey with me, people who were on the same growth track with me, And then the word purpose and the act, when I call it an act, purpose began to make more meaning.
Okay.
Right? Purpose began to make more meaning because now, that's how the Bible puts it. It says that when Saul was in the company of prophets, he prophesied, right? There was something that that company activated in him that was latent, but would never come to limelight unless he comes into that company, right? So we have so many people who are in the wrong companies. They may be popular, right? They may be famous, but when push comes to shove, when the matters of life and destiny are discussed, they do not have that asset around them to propel them on the path of vision enough to the point where they can now deliver that which has been embedded in their inside. Right. So that's what this did for me. Fundamentally, above all, so many lessons were learned, but I think the most critical was that it brought me into my company.
So, do you have any regrets?
No, none whatsoever. I mean, the gains far outweigh the losses.
So you had losses?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I was out of business for a long time. During the time, I had speaking engagement I had to cancel both virtually and that's money, I had to be in the dark for a long time, You lose friends, you lose people people you had come a long way with to some extent.
Do you miss those friends? You missed those friends you thought you lost?
Quite honestly, some of them, but not all, right? But then, in your interaction with life, you have to get to that point where you're not meddling superficially on the strata of emotions, right? There are deeper things, there are deeper aspects of life that your emotions cannot comprehend. And so if you must journey in the right direction, you want to keep your, how do you think Abraham felt waking up one day and then God says to him, leave your father's land, leave your people, leave everything, separate from all that you know, the known, the customary, separate, go to where? If you said go to
land, I will show you.
There's no definition for that. Don't you think he had a brother that he loved? Don't you think he had a sibling, a cousin, a neighbor that was so good for him? The day he was tired, that neighbor was the one that cooked soup for him, and then don't you think he would have loved to, this is my neighbor, let me just carry him. Right? But then, in his magnanimity, he still carried Lot. And then look what happened. Lot engineered the civilization, Sodom and Gomorrah. And eventually that civilization needed to be destroyed.
Wow.
So a time comes in that journey that there is of necessity going to be a separation. Sometimes from family, right? And that's why if you remember the earlier stage of our conversation when we talked about mentoring, right? And I said that the onus is on the mentor to realize that whatever can come can go, right? So you don't hold too tight on a mentee, right? You discern your responsibility towards that mentee and then discern the extent of that responsibility, right? Because it's like a relay race, right? You run towards a certain level, then you hand over the baton, right, to the next runner who runs to a particular level, hands over. And so your essence or your responsibility in the life of a mentee could just be for 4 years. It could just be to take him to this point and then hand him over to the person who would. But then sometimes, like I said, there is that innate desire to own the process. There's that innate desire to be the man, the showman, right? And so when you spot the light, it's difficult to hand over that light to another person.
In all this, one of the things for me I have learned and picked, when it comes to mentorship is mentorship has to be done with so much love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Because in all this, how do you let somebody that you've invested so much in to move? But a lot of people will call it, letting go. I don't think you're letting go.
No.
I just think you're just letting them, enjoy their own path. You're letting them just go through their own journey.
You're letting them become. You're not letting them.
You're letting them become.
Yes.
I love how you put it.
Yes.
You're letting them become. You're letting them also shine.
Yeah.
You're letting them be the light that they are. Because sometimes, how will they know that they can shine if there is no darkness?
Absolutely.
But right now, final question. There's a young person watching now. There's a young Duke right now. There's somebody that is stuck. There's somebody that is watching, writing, learning. There's somebody that is just in their own phase of reinvention.
Yeah.
There's somebody watching now and they're asking so many questions in their head. And right now, what you're about to say is going to give them direction.
Yeah.
So if you had something to just close this session with, what would that be to that young person watching?
If I had something to close the session, I'd say, do not wait to learn by experience what you can learn by education and observation.
Wow.
Right. And I think I may need to unpack that a
Please
bit.
Please do.
Yeah. There are multiple stratas, there are multiple layers to information gathering.
Okay.
Right. And then fundamentally, or first, top of it is, as Christians, we call it the Holy Spirit. Right.
Yeah.
Biologically, we call it intuition. Right. These are teachers that life has afforded us. Right. We say that experience is the best teacher, but that's not correct. Experience is a harsh teacher. It's a hard teacher. It's a difficult teacher. It's a stern teacher, but it's not the best.
True.
Right. Experience is that teacher that comes when you have not listened to all the other teachers.
What are the other teachers, please?
And so the first teacher that life offers us is called the Holy Spirit.
Okay.
Right. Those non-Christians would call it intuition. It's innate in us. The Bible says you hear a voice telling you that this is the way you walk down in it. You're born with it. It comes with you at birth. The second teacher that life offers us is called culture and traditions.
Culture and tradition.
Right? When you're born, you're now indoctrinated into it. So fundamentally, you're not born a Christian, you're not born a Muslim, you're not born an atheist. You're born into a community that is Christian. And so they indoctrinate you into their beliefs. And so that's a teacher, culture and tradition. Right? The third teacher that life offers us is called exposure. Right? Exposure.
I love exposure.
Right? Exposure. And you want to say exposure in bracket observation, because this is how you get exposure through observation. How you perceive life, right? The fourth teacher that life offers us is called education.
Yeah.
Right? We place a lot of premium on education, both formal and informal, but it's just the fourth.
Yeah.
Right? There are multiple other ones, right? And so education exists as a teacher. The fifth teacher that life gives us is called ignorance. Right? Interestingly, and that's why they say ignorance is bliss, because there's so many things that you were better off ignorant of. I tell people in my circle about knowledge. Knowledge is a compound word. Know and edge. Right? What this means is that once you know something, it puts you at an edge. Right? You become responsible for what you have now known. Right? And what happens when you're at an edge? Two things. You either fall or you fly. Right? And so you would have been better off if you did not know some things. There's something called the paradox of knowledge. Because the more you now know it, the more you know, the more you realize how you do not know, right? And so the inquisitive mind always wants to, okay, tell me. You're safer in ignorance. That's why they say ignorance is bliss, right? To an extent. So that's the fifth teacher that life offers us. The sixth teacher is experience. So you see, in the wrong, experience is the sixth teacher. And then the seventh and final teacher is called assumption. Assumption. That's why they say assumption is the lowest level. Many people just quote it, but they don't know the other levels.
Yeah.
Right? It's the lowest level. It's worse than experience. It's worse than ignorance. Experience is worse than ignorance. Ignorance is worse than education, you know. So these are the strata. So I would say to the younger version of me or to any young person listening there, do not wait to learn by experience what you can learn by education, what you can learn by intuition, what you can learn by exposure, right? A quote I like to fall back on, you know, whenever I think about this is, it's a very, very lovely quote, right? And it says that the young man has time but doesn't know what to do. The old man knows what to do but doesn't have time. Wisdom beckons on the young man to take the knowledge of the old man and add to his time. Don't wait to experience it, because by the time you experience it, you will not have enough time to implement.
True.
You have now experienced that robbers are on the road. They've stolen your car, they've stolen your phone, they've stolen your money. How do you now implement the knowledge that you have now gotten? Meanwhile, somebody told you, don't go in this direction. There are robbers on that road. So it's unwise.
Yes, that's it for today. I know you want more. I'm sure you've learned so much from this episode. Please let me know what you've learned in the comment. Like, subscribe. Is there someone you want me to interview in the next episode? Please let me know in the comments. Please don't forget to subscribe. Subscribing is free. So, bye for now.